And yes, good morning to you. It's Thursday, the 12th of February, 2026. The program is On the Lord's Side, Christian Perspectives on News and Current Events. My name is Olufemi Oguntokun. You can follow me on X at Olufemi OG. You can follow Gospel Best Radio on X at Gospel Best Radio. One of the stories that caught the attention of many on social media yesterday is this story, the story of a lady who is married to one of the most fascinating entities in the entertainment scene in Nigeria. He's married to a man who is known to be a dwarf, and who has made quite a bit out of it. He's well known to be a dwarf, and then an actor as well, and an entertainer as well. Now you must know of the social stigma that attaches to being a dwarf. Perhaps you not describe it as stigma, but definitely you must agree that when you cite a dwarf, you know that that person is a dwarf, and that people would not just look once; they'll perhaps stare. So even if you do not think that the society attaches some stigma to being a dwarf, you can agree that people stare at dwarfs, and they don't only stare at them. Some even make fun of them. Some stare to such extent that it becomes so irritating, I assume, to them, and embarrassing as well. So you can also imagine a woman, a lady who is of normal height, married to a dwarf. Whenever they appear in public, you can understandably relate to how people will view them, the stares that they will get, sometimes the ridicule, and also the actually, to be very frank, not just the ridicule and the stares, and the things that will make them quite uncomfortable in the society. So this lady is married to this man who is one of the most famous dwarfs in Nigeria, because he's also an actor. If you watch many of the film productions from Nigeria, you find him in some of them, and he appears in these things. And I think he has done well for himself. He has made peace with who he is, which is a valuable lesson in life. The sooner you make peace with who you are, the better the quality of life that they're going to live. If a person finds himself a dwarf and hates being a dwarf, and is unhappy with that, such a person may end up committing suicide, and saying to himself, look, or herself, I don't like who I am. And there are people who are not even dwarfs today in society, but who do not like who they are, and who go to extreme lengths to change that fact. Of course, you know what I'm talking about, what I'm insinuating now. People who look at their behind and say, look, I do not like how small this is. They want to make it bigger. Some I don't want to look how big this, I want to make it smaller. They look at some part of their body, other part of their bodies as well, and they want to augment it, or they want to reduce it. In the past, psychologists have advised people that the sooner you make peace with who you are, the sooner you make peace with your body type, the better for you, the better the quality of life you're going to live. And that also applies to many other different areas of life. So this lady, she's married to this man who is named there as Nkubi, and she said something that got many people really talking and engaging on social media yesterday. This is what she said. Quote, "My doctor asked why I didn't let my brother-in-law impregnate me instead of my husband." So I think I've given the context for this. This is a lady who is of normal height, who is married to this dwarf who is an actor in Nigeria and is quite popular, who is married to him and got impregnated by her husband. Should that be news? Should that be something to be questioned? She got impregnated by her husband, and then when she went for a scan, a routine scan, I suppose that the doctor conducting the scan then noticed that the fetus would be a dwarf. I suppose there are ways to know that. And at that point, the doctor, according to this lady, the doctor asked her why she didn't let her brother-in-law impregnate her. So so you can picture the scene, and you can picture the thinking of that doctor. The doctor looking at the lady, a beautiful lady by all estimation. If you see her, well put together. So a normal lady, normal height, beautiful, and the doctor must have looked at her and said, in his heart, or perhaps it was a female doctor, but let's assume it's a male doctor, must have said in his heart, how did you end up marrying a dwarf? How did you end up marrying a dwarf? You know the way some people look at some men or some ladies and say, look, why did you end up marrying such a man? So the doctor must have felt in his heart, how did you end up marrying a dwarf? But then perhaps he did not say that part hard, but then he said the other part. He said, look, why didn't you allow your brother-in-law to impregnate you instead of your husband? Now, many people took different views of this. Some say, well, the doctor was acting in the defense of the human race. He did not want the perpetuation of the generation of dwarfs in the human race, and then he was concerned about that. Some argued the other way, saying that no, that cannot be the case. He overstepped his bounds, right? So let me just read this part of the report. It says, speaking in an interview with Pulse about abnormality scan appointment, she said after handing over the result, the doctor asked if there was any history of dwarfism in her family. She responded that yes, her husband has dwarfism. According to her, the doctor then asked why she didn't consider getting pregnant by her brother-in-law or someone else outside her marriage instead of her husband. She also alleged that the doctor suggested she could have used a sperm donor. The statement left her shocked. She described the encounter as discriminatory, adding that people with dwarfism are not given equal respect and rights. And let's begin from that last part before we engage with other aspects of this story. We have to, as Christians, as decent human beings, affirm the humanity of all men, notwithstanding their appearance, notwithstanding anything associated with them that is unusual, or that deviates from the norm. And in this respect, you are talking about people who are disabled. You are talking about people who are dwarfs, as well as people who are taller than the average height. And dwarfs, and I mean also albinos, people like that. They are people that, for us who think from Christian perspective, you have to acknowledge that they are created by God. And if you read your Bible, it says He does all things so that people will fear Him. So if you want to ask yourself questions and say, well, why would God create people like that? I don't have an answer for you, but I can point you to Ecclesiastes 3:14, where the preacher wrote, saying, God's works remain forever. God's works remain forever. It will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it. Nothing can be taken for it. God does it so that people will fear Him. He fear Him because He's king. You know how kings with absolute rulership, what they do what they will do. Nobody can question them, and He does all things so that people will fear Him. So I want to ask you, would you have spoken like that doctor? Would you have said, look, why do you want to perpetuate the generation of dwarfs in this country or in the world? You should have stepped out of your marriage, and you should have maybe had a sexual relation with your brother-in-law or with someone else. Things would have been different. And there are some people who would say that, if your concern is that if she did that, she would have sinned. They would have said, well, maybe she and her husband could have agreed. Even her husband did. Some would say even her husband should have agreed with her, for her to have a sexual relationship with the brother-in-law or with some other person or sperm donor. Or get a sperm donated and just avoid this. I mean, let's first engage with the aspect of the suggestion that she could have had sexual relations with her brother-in-law or with somebody else. And we on the Lord's side can be sure that we are on firm footing when we say things like this. Anything that appears like a solution, but it requires you to sin against the law of God, is not a solution at all. It is wiser in the long run and it is proof of your fear of God that you are able to accept the consequences of your actions, notwithstanding that you could have avoided those consequences by disobeying the Lord. And you find that most often than not, this is where the proof of faith shines. This is where the crux of the matter is. When consequences are approaching, the consequences of things you have done, and well, you have the option to avoid those consequences, at least in the short term, by doing something ungodly, something against the law of God, and then you choose not to do that thing, and then to accept those consequences. That is one of the situations where your fidelity, your loyalty to Christ and loyalty to God becomes quite evident. Somebody wrote saying, "This is stupid. That's a stupid doctor. Some of them are not mentally okay. I can imagine the mental pain you went through. You would have reported him to the management of the hospital or to the health board." So another person said, "Oh, but the doctor just gave a practical suggestion by saying you should have allowed a sperm donor, IVF, or step out of your marriage. It was to ensure to erase dwarfism in your lineage. You and your husband should have agreed to it." Exactly. I did not even see this before I mentioned that, because I can understand how people will reason from a secular point of view and would have said, "Hey, well, you and your husband should have agreed to it. What's the big deal? You go and have a sexual relationship with somebody outside, or well, get some sperm donated and then avoid this, and then you would have erased dwarfism in your lineage." Now, as much as it may appear a good thing, a noble intention to want to erase dwarfism in that lineage, you say, well, anything to erase dwarfism in your lineage, that's a good thing. You step out and do whatever you have to do. Let us be reminded that no matter how noble the objective appears, and it says, well, if you were to do this, yes. Look, we all understand that doing it would be against the law of God, would not be something, would be disobedient to God. But you're going to achieve this noble objective. No disobedience will ever lead to a noble objective. You can go to the bank with that. No disobedience will ever lead to a noble objective. It is always wise for people to count the cost before taking action, and that's why Jesus said, among other things, although he was making a different point about our souls and our salvation, but he said a wise builder will do what? We count the cost. We count the cost before beginning to build. You are going to count the cost. You are going to do some evaluation. You are going to do what we call today. What do we call it? We call it feasibility studies, right? Feasibility study. You don't just rush into things. He just said, if you want to follow me, you better stand back, sit back, and reflect on the cost of what? On the cost of discipleship. Just that you have to reflect on the cost. You have to understand what it's going to cost you. And then once you fully understand it, you step into the pilgrimage. And then when you begin when the pilgrimage begin to ask you to pay the cost, you are not then taking you are not taken unawares. You are not surprised by it. You say, "Oh, I knew that when I started. I knew that when I set out on the pilgrimage." Jesus said in Luke 14:28, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Jesus was talking about discipleship there, right? But he was making the point about people being contemplative about their actions. And of course, and doing what? And accepting the consequences of their actions. And then in verse 29, it says, for if you lay the foundation and you are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you. Right? They say, oh, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish it. Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he's not able, he will send a delegation while the other is still a long way off, and we ask for terms of peace. And then Jesus said, in the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples. So I was saying to me, look, this discipleship will cost you some. This pilgrimage will cost you everything. count the cost before you begin. And that is one nugget of wisdom that is lacking in our society today. I dare say that's one nugget of wisdom that the secular society is not emphasizing enough today in our culture, which is what? That people must be ready to accept the consequences of their actions. Now you find some people swearing by abortion and making it almost a religion. But then somebody has said, look, the primary cause of pregnancy is what? Is that you're having sexual relations with people. If you do not want to have a pregnancy that you do you should not be having sexual relations with people, right? Perhaps you should not be having sexual relations with people, right? And the same thing, applying it to this case, that doctor ought to have said to himself, if this lady did not want to have dwarfs in her family, in her lineage, she would not have married a dwarf. So I'm saying that it cannot be an excuse for somebody to say, oh, I married a dwarf, now I don't want a dwarf in my family, therefore I'm going to have sexual relations with somebody who is not my husband. I'm going to have something with somebody else, my brother-in-law, or this. The same way that it is not acceptable for a person to say, oh, I married SS. God has revealed to us the means by which we know these things. I'm SS, my husband is SS. Now that I've become pregnant by him, I'm going to go to the hospital for them to check whether the fetus will be SS. If it's SS, then I'm going to abort the fetus. Now, you see that you're beginning to do things that are displeasing to God, things that are not God-honoring, in pursuit of what you would call a noble objective. But these are situations you put yourself in by making conscious choices. You made a choice to marry the SS person, knowing fully well what could be the outcome of it. Not that the outcome has become appears to be crystallizing. Now you are going to take an action that is not God honoring to avoid that outcome. So I'm really proud of this lady that she made a choice and she has stuck by it. And it's not only just about dwarfs being good dwarfs themselves being people made in the image of God, being full human beings that should be respected. It's not just about that. It is about it, but not just about it for those of us who think from Christian perspective. This is about people who have made a conscious decision, a free will decision to do something, accepting the consequences of it, and not being persuaded by the culture or persuaded by their own deceitful heart to do something ungodly in order to avoid the consequences that they knew would come by making those choices. They knew those consequences would come by making those choices. So I really applaud this lady and really admire her. And we do pray that our generation will increase. And for those who are saying, oh, but it would have been in pursuit of a noble objective, I said to you, that is exactly how sin appears every time. Sin will always tell you that it's in pursuit of a noble objective, and that sort of thinking has led the society to adopt so many, or rather to approve so many things that it ought not to have approved at all. That is quite sad, but in this case of this lady, this is really, really commendable. Okay, and then moving on to another story, and still talking about, what the society calls acceptable. I came across this story. It says Kelly Rowland marks 45th birthday with topless photos. Kelly Rowland marks 45th birthday with topless photos. Now, for those who may not know who Kelly Rowland is, she's an American singer. She's an actress. She's a TV personality. She rose to fame in the late 1990s as a member of Destiny's Child. So those who grew up in that time would know the singing group Destiny's Child. And Destiny's Child was one of the world's best-selling girl groups. During the group's 3-year hiatus, Roland released her own debut solo studio album called Simply Deep. So she's a singer. She is an actress. She's a TV personality. She was born February 11, 1981, so she's 45 years old. And to mark her 45th birthday, she, according to this report, she went topless. And now, this will not be the first time that you are hearing of an actor or a popular person in the entertainment culture going topless. That is, taking pictures without the top on. You know, it's the culture of nudity which we are dealing with in the world today. It's the culture of nudity. Now, I want to listen to this report. It says Kelly Rowland has released new photos to celebrate her 45th birthday. The singer-actress wore only a pair of jeans in the photos. She went topless. Listen to this. Quote, she went topless but managed to protect her dignity by using her hair to cover her chest. And then she wrote, "This is 45. She captioned the photos and videos shared online saying, "This is 45. And of course, in one of the pictures, you would see that she went topless, but then she covered her chest first with the bench that she was sitting on, and at another point with the hair that she was sitting on. But this is the kind of photo that an English writer would say left nothing to the imagination, left nothing to the imagination. And this got me talking not about Kelly Rowland herself, but about this culture of this culture of nudity that many people have commented on. And I think from Christian perspective, we can think even more deeply about this culture and ask ourselves what exactly is behind this culture of nudity. We should ask ourselves, because we should be thinking people, contemplative people. You should ask ourselves, why is it that to celebrate the 45th birthday, she chose to go topless? She chose to reveal some, the otherwise dignified part of her body. Why is that? Why is it that in the culture today, to celebrate milestones, to celebrate birthdays, people choose to go topless and to wear scandalously revealing dresses? Why is it that when people want to put their best face forward, they want to attend events that are glamorous, they want to events where you want to be your best, they go there revealing the otherwise dignified part of the bodies or the sexual part of the body. And this is what I came up with. This is thinking I came up with. I say to myself, I say that, well, there is a truth revealed in this culture, the rise of revealing fashion. What it reveals, it is this, and it flows from, I think, what is well accepted by psychologists and a fact of life, that the things you consider your most valuable possession or quality, you will want people to see and want people to know that you have. Right? The quality you most value in yourself is what you want people to see and admire about you first, above all else. The quality you have, the possession you have that is so valuable to you, you want people to know you have it, right? And you want them to know you have it. And that is why, some rich people, when they have like state-of-the-art cars, they want people to know. So if they have chosen to attend an event, they want to go there. If they have the latest car, they want to go with the latest car, because why have it? Why have it and not let people know? What's the point of having it when people don't know about it? That's the point I want to make. What's the point of having it when people don't know that you have it? And so if you come from that point, then you begin to think again that when people then indulge in this culture of nudity, and people embrace more and more in the culture, embracing the revealing fashion, it then shows us a deeper truth. It unveils a deeper truth, which is this, that we have elevated sexual attractiveness to our prime asset. Sexual attractiveness has become the prime asset. A generation has been taught that beauty, appearance, and sexual attractiveness, these are the most important things that you can ever have and that you need to cultivate. So much so that even people who will say that they are on the Lord's side, and that they're the Lord's, some of them perhaps without paying much thought to it, they go out, they wear dresses and adopt the fashion that shows off the sexual part of their body. The point I'm trying to make is that we need to think deeply through it and say, why is it that a Kelly Rowland at 45 would want to go topless? Why is it that at 45 that is what she wanted to show to the world? Why is it that when this particular man or lady chose the dress for that particular occasion, he or she chose one that will reveal the sexual part that will exude what is called sexual appeal? Why? I've always said that the question of why is so important because it helps us to understand so many things. The question of why. Once you ask the question of why, you begin to find that you find yourself on the right path. You begin to have a better understanding of things. When you ask the question of why, so you ask why. It is because many people have come to be conditioned or have come to accept, even if they did not do it consciously, that the most important thing they have is their beauty, their appearance, or their sexual appeal. So much so that they want people to know they have it, because it goes without saying that what you have, what you value and you prize above all else among your possessions, among your qualities, you want people to know you have it. So at the end of the day, it becomes a question of priorities. So what is the most important thing to you? What is the most important thing you want people to know about you? Because the truth about human beings is that we put our best face. Each human being puts his best face forward. You put your best face forward every time. I mean, you want people to see the things that are good about you, the things that you yourself value in yourself. And you say, there can only be one king in a kingdom. There can only be one king reigning in a heart, on a throne. There can only be one king on a throne. So you may have many things you are proud of, but the most important thing you are proud of can only be one. Only one thing can be in the first place. There may be other things in second, third, fourth, and other places, but in the first place there can only be one thing. What's the most important thing about you? What is it that on the day that people will be paying attention to you, you want people to see? And for us on the Lord's side, we have to question ourselves if what you want people to notice first and foremost about you is not that you're a Christian. It's not that you're a godly person. If that is not the first thing you want people to notice about you, you need to examine yourself whether you are in the faith, to use the words of the Apostle Paul. If the first thing you want people to know about you is not your godliness and your Christ-likeness, you need to question again whether you are in the faith. I'm not talking about hypocrisy. I'm not talking about people going to extreme lengths to appear to be godly, to appear to be Christ-like. I'm talking about people who are truly godlike, who are truly Christ-like, who are truly godly, who are truly Christ-like. And I'm saying that when somebody is like that, the thing you want people to notice first about you, what you want people to see from afar, what you want people to confirm when they move near you, is your godliness, is your Christ-likeness. And when you see people who on their best day, on their birthdays, on the day that attention will be on them, or when you see people when they go out, where you see that what they want people to see is their part of the body, that are sexual, then you know that is what they prize highly in their lives. We cannot be so. We cannot we cannot be like that. And I think we need to think more deeply about these things. And when we see people like Kelly Rowland going topless to celebrate her 45th birthday, we should understand that to her, her body is one of the things that she takes pride in, and she wants us to know about it. If Christ and his kingdom is paramount in your life, you want people to know that is paramount in your life, that his kingdom is of utmost importance to you. It's everything to you. That's what you want to project. That's what we want to project. But whatever is important to you, whatever quality you think you have that is most important, that's what you want people to know that you have. And that's my understanding of this culture, and which then brings us back to the truth that we have always affirmed on this program, and that any Christian would truly affirm that Jesus is the answer for the world today. So if there is a problem of nudity in the world, I tell you, Jesus is the answer to that problem. Whatever problem you see in the culture, when you think through it as deeply as you should, you find that indeed Jesus is the answer to that problem. Because the problem of nudity and the culture of revealing fashion goes to the matter of priority, goes to the matter of the occupant of the throne of the heart. And a person who has made Christ and his kingdom his priority would want the world to see first and foremost and above all else Christ and his kingdom in his life or in her life. I'm talking about Jesus being the answer. I want to quickly reflect on a group of stories that should really make us more convinced of what the Bible teaches, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and power. It will make us more convinced that many of the behaviors we're seeing in the culture today, that some call deviant behaviors, they're not just that. They are signs of deeper imbalances that have spiritual roots. So somebody posted a video, and this video of a young boy, crying out like someone, a white boy, like someone under the influence. But if you're a Christian, you know that this is somebody who is possessed. The caption says, this is Jesse. Jesse shot 35 innocent people yesterday, including his mother, sister, a teacher, and young children. 10 are dead, and many are fighting for their lives. The government decided that instead of supporting Jesse's mental health and helping a disturbed child, that they would tell Jesse that he was a girl and pump him full of cross-sex hormones and other such medication. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that this is becoming an issue, really. An issue where you have many transgender children committing horrendous crimes. And now people are beginning to notice. They're beginning to notice and to see a pattern where you have transgender children committing notable high-profile crimes. So I asked Grok, one of the AI platforms, I said, can you list the cases where the identified perpetrator or suspected perpetrator of a spectacular gun, knife, or homicidal crime was a transgender person? Why are people concerned that some transgender persons seem to exhibit traits of mental instability? And this is the response I got. It said, here are the notable high-profile cases, primarily from the US, where the perpetrator or suspect in a spectacular gun, knife, or homicidal crime was identified as transgender. These are relative to overall violent crime statistics. Yes. Now look at this. 2023 Nashville Covenant School shooting. One Audrey Hale, identified as transgender. He was the one who killed 6 people, 3 children, 3 adults with firearms at a private Christian school. 2025 Minneapolis school shooting. One Robin Westman killed 2 children and injured others in a gun attack at a Catholic school. Other incident, 2018 Aberdeen, Maryland, 2019, and there are so many other lists. According to Grok, says some lists circulated online include additional cases. And there are so many other cases that are not listed here. But the point is that people are beginning to notice a pattern. Apologies. People are beginning to notice a pattern where there seems to be some instability in those who have been pumped with these hormones, trying to change their biological gender to another. And when we hear of those concerns, we say back to them, well, why are you surprised? What did you think was going to happen when you turn your back to the order of things as created by God? What did you think would happen when you turn your back to the order of things by God? People must begin to realize and accept that when we turn our backs to the order of creation, to the order of creation, there will be consequences. There will be consequences, and unfortunately, many societies have already set out on that. They've already set out on that course of action, and they're going to reap it. Sow the wind, reap the wild wind, as the English would say. You sow the wind, you're going to reap the wild wind. So when people choose to disobey God, when people choose to say, well, this is the way God wants it, but we don't want it that way, and we're going to find ways to frustrate the will of God, because God made this boy a boy. You are making an attempt to frustrate that and turn him into a girl, and you think there will be no consequences. So that's the foolishness in all of this, that we live in a culture that supposes that there will be no consequence to turning our backs to God. There will be consequences, and now we are beginning to see those consequences. Many of those transgender boys and girls committing all sorts of horrible crimes, doing all sorts of things, because they can't just be mentally stable in that borrowed body that is not theirs. Again, another thing that should concern us in the culture, there are many stories coming out of the United States and many parts of the world about the elites, people who are highly placed in the society, engaging in deep occultism. Somebody went on the Joe Rogan podcast in the United States and lamented this. He said, they are eating babies, man. I think that there is sacrifices going on every day in Los Angeles. So many Africans grew up to suppose that, look, you look at the West, you look at the United States, you look at many parts of the West, and what do you find? You find people who don't even care, about God at all, and they are doing well, right? That many of the rich people don't care about God. They are not Christians, yet they are doing fantastically well. Amenities are there, things are good. The Bible teaches us that there can't be vacancy in the throne, in the heart of any man. That's what Jesus taught when he said, look, if you displace demons in a heart and the throne remains vacant and unoccupied, the demons will return and they will fill that throne. That is where we got the Christian principle that there cannot be vacancy on the throne in the heart of any man or woman. There must be somebody reigning there. So when people say, look at these cultures, look at this person, he's not even a Christian, he's not even somebody who acknowledges God, and he's doing well, he's doing this and that, we say to such a one, do not be deceived. We say that the one, do not be deceived. There is somebody always on the throne. There is somebody always on the throne of the heart of people. There's always somebody on that throne. So don't deceive yourself. Do not make that mistake to say that, there's nobody on the throne. And this is what is now coming out, especially from the Jeffrey Epstein's files. And people are seeing all sorts of things that people that the elites have been engaging in. So much so that those who know are now saying that they think that sacrifices are going on every day in Los Angeles among your favorites. Again, there are so many angles to engage with. Again, this is why we tell Christian young people and Christian people, you cannot have the ungodly, those who are hostile to Christ, hostile to His ways, or who don't do that. You cannot have them as your favorites. You cannot have them as your favorites. You cannot have them as your You cannot have them as your, how do you put it? You cannot have them as a role model. What are you doing having them as a role model? Somebody who does not acknowledge the Lord Jesus Christ, which goes back to the thing we engaged with earlier on again, at the point about the most important thing in your life. Is it Christ? Is it his kingdom or something else?
They're eating babies, man. Like that's
Do you think so that you think is real? So
well, yeah. Not only that, I think that there's sacrifices going on every day in Los Angeles.
Can you imagine?
Allegedly, like high level musicians, let's say, high level female musician is like killing chickens every day, doing sacrifices, like
high level.
Well, I don't want to say. I don't want to say names because I don't want to get sued, and I don't want to be dead either.
What does it rhyme like?
Here's the purchase order. I started looking at the comments for some stuff. Not that
they're eating babies, man. Like,
I mean, so these things are being said now by credible people, and there are pictures, videos coming out from the Jeffrey Epstein files also suggesting that some form of, at least, child mutilation was going on. Now, maybe as a Christian, you must have heard the word Moloch. Moloch, it appears in the Hebrew Bible several times in the Hebrew Bible, the word Moloch. And the word Moloch is a word which is used in the Bible to refer to a particular king or a particular type of idolatry where babies are offered to some heathen gods. Where babies are offered to some heathen gods. And when babies are offered, it's not that they are, it is called child sacrifice. Child sacrifice has been a thing from a long time ago in human history. Satan has always been demanding from different societies and cultures child sacrifice. Satan has been demanding child sacrifice from many societies and cultures from time immemorial. Go to the Bible, go and read the book of Amos, many parts of even Leviticus. We are going to find references to Moloch or Molech. And with God expressing his anger towards such sacrifices. And that's exactly what is still going on today. So you have many cases of children disappearing, and we say, well, who are the people taking them? Some people say they're just making them sex slaves, which would be horrible enough, but that is not just it. It's not that they're making them sex slaves. They're also making them what? They're also using them for sacrifices to the devil. Well, tell someone out there who says to you, oh, there's nothing wrong about the world. These people are just beautiful. They are just popular. They are just this and that. Yes, they don't know Christ, but you say they are just free thinkers. Hey, let us not be that naive. Do not be that naive. Never be that naive to say, oh, there is nothing going on. All is well. All is well. There is nothing going on. And again, now, finally, let me close with this. This statement by the president of El Salvador. Now, the president of El Salvador is somebody that you should Google and study. Quite an impressive Christian whom God has helped to do great things in that country. El Salvador used to be one of the most crime-infested countries in the world. It is no longer so. And this man was so courageous, and he has always been very vocal about the Christian faith. I'll probably read what he said, but let me see if he spoke in English. Otherwise, I'll read it out.
Many people don't know that our enemy was not just the flesh and blood, but it's spiritual as well. The gangs didn't just murder, rape, extort. They also worship Satan. Straight up, literally. When we went to their homes to arrest them, we discovered altars they've been using for satanic rituals.
Can you imagine? The gangs.
This is well documented. We put up the pictures, the videos right away. But for some reason, the global mainstream media didn't think it was worth it to cover it.
Mm-hmm. Understandably so.
But we know gangs in El Salvador were satanic, and they worship Satan, and some of those gangs are here in the United States.
So, I mean, that was the voice of the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele. You should Google him and see and see the things, wonderful things that he has done in El Salvador. But be sure that you are reading of him from the right source. So that was him talking about how he confronted gang violence in El Salvador and saying that when those gangs were arrested, when they went to arrest them, they found in their homes altars altars for the worship of Satan. The point I'm trying to make is the same point that President Nayib Bukele made there, that when you are fighting people who are doing horrible, wicked things in the world, do not think to yourself do not ever think to yourself that you are just fighting human beings. Always take to the bank what the Bible has said. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against powers and against the rulers of the darkness of this age. So when you see anybody doing something ungodly and reveling in it and persisting in it, maybe the person is wearing sexually provocative dresses, maybe the person is, in gangs, as you have them in many parts of the world, or maybe those people, the person is part of the terrorists who are terrorizing Nigeria and the bandits and the kidnappers. Maybe that person is part of the politicians who are impoverizing the people of Nigeria. A Christian should not be ashamed to admit that there is a spiritual angle to all these things. Jesus said, Satan has come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That is his mission. That's what he has come to do, and that is what he's going to do. And when you see the manifestations of it, don't say, this is not Satan. This is human beings doing what human beings do. Yes, there is the aspect of human beings taking responsibility for themselves, but you know the person who is reveling in it, the person who is delighting in what those human beings are doing is the devil, who has made it appear to them as something attractive, as something good, as something to be done. And I pray that we will never be in the group of people who will say, no, it's not the devil. Don't bring spiritual matters into this. It is not that. It is not like that. Now, governments are finding, at least the government of El Salvador has found, that the gangs terrorizing El Salvador in those days, those gangs were worshiping Satan. People are now saying that many celebrities in the U.S. are making child sacrifices to Satan. And if these revelations bother you, that is good. But if in bothering you, they make you more prayerful, more circumspect in your walk in this world, that's a good thing. We have to become more prayerful for our children, for our society, for ourselves. And know that whatever enemy we need to confront, whatever ill we are confronting in society, we shouldn't be confronting it just using carnal weapons. Our weapons cannot be carnal. They have to be mighty. They have to be rooted in God, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. I want to thank you for tuning in this morning on the Lord's Side, Christian Perspectives on News and Current Events. I hope to be with you again tomorrow by the grace of God. Whatever you do today, please remain firmly on the Lord's side. God bless you. God bless you really good.
You are listening to GospelBellsRadio.com, the Christian internet radio with a mission to engage the culture with the mind of Christ. Keep listening and invite others too. God bless you.
Engaging the culture with the mind of Christ.
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 Engaging the culture with the mind of Christ.